even 3 wins here before he is potentially knocked out. I mean, he's a player that they're really, really counting on. The pressure is on for TaeJa. He's taken some very big wins recently, so he can deal with pressure. He's been on stage before, but it's still got to be huge. I mean, he's playing again, against the Code S champion.
Against the Code S champion, a guy who won very convincingly as well. But we're talking collectively right in front of us are 2 of the very best players in StarCraft, and I don't really know who to give the advantage to right now. TaeJa has just performed so well in the clutch, though, every time he's been called up, that I have to say that I give him the edge right now, but you just can never count Seed out.
The thing right now with TaeJa is that TVP is really his best matchup, I feel. He has a 67.44% win ratio in TVP. That's incredibly high. Getting near 70 is percentages that are almost unheard of in win rates, because at the very, very top of pro gaming, at the top of StarCraft 2, if you have over 50%, that's amazing, because that means you're winning more than half your games against, other people of your skill level. But to be at 67%, that's crazy. It's one of the best TVPers out there. Can't wait to see what he has for us.
And looks like he's going to take gas right now, so that's coming up pretty short order. We'll see if he decides to throw down a second reactor. This is just going to be some sort of a Tech Lab expand. But he's making sure that this goes up and trying to ward away that probe. Once again, Seed being very, very diligent with his harass, just making sure that he knows everything that his opponent plans to do. Back on Seed's side of things, Cybernetic score coming up, and things are looking pretty normal for him.
It's interesting that he built the barracks there, because I felt like that kind of does tell Seed that it's not going to be any sort of Tech Lab expand, because you can't fit the Tech Lab there. So that means there's probably going to be a factory coming out. There's probably going to be Hellions. So and there's a factory right now for Liquid TaeJa. So I feel like a little bit of his strategy was kind of given away there and where he built his barracks.
And Seed, second gas coming up for him. Could still decide to switch this into a pretty early gateway expand or something like that, but we'll see if he decides to attack behind this as well. So he'll have quite the gas income coming in here very soon. Cybernetic score's done. There's Warfleet research and a Stalker on the way.
Yeah, second gas very quickly for Liquid TaeJa as well. So we could easily see Cloak Banshees here. We'll have to see what he decides to do. It is a good map for it, and it is a good way to kind of segue into an expansion, to go for that that Banshee tank Marine composition where you take, a second, a third base even we've seen, and then just have a very strong push across the middle of the map. And there's a reactor going down on that barracks. So what will we see? I mean, it could also be medevac drop as well, I suppose, but with 2 gas, you kind of have to assume Banshees at this point. Yeah, and there's a Tech Lab on the factory.
Tech Lab dropping down on the factory, but he's certainly going to be pumping out a good number of Marines as well. We have the potential for a very strong one-base attack out of him as well, whether he wants to take an expansion behind that or whether he wants to just try and kill Seed to begin with. Seed, of course, throwing down a second gateway for now. So 2-gate Robo will give him quite a few units to defend, but he's certainly still going to be on his best behavior when this attack comes.
That's right, and he did get that robotics bay, right after his first gateway, so clearly he wants to know what's going on. He's like, all right, you have gas, you weren't getting a Tech Lab on your barracks, something's going on here. I need to get that robotics facility out fast so I can get my observer out, so I can get to your base and scout what you have. And so he's trying to rush for that as fast as possible. There's the observer just now started for Incredible Miracle, Seed, and Cloak on the way for TaeJa. So it will indeed be the strategy that we were kind of expecting here. The question is, will Seed be ready?
We'll certainly find out. Sending that first observer across the map, so he is going to be able to pick up on cloaked units, and we'll see if TaeJa decides to switch things up whenever this happens. Bunker coming up in the front as well to make sure he doesn't take any early damage. He can prepare all of his forces. But let's see here. Seed actually expanding out of this.
He's going to stay on one base a little bit longer, it looks like. Yeah, there's a Nexus for Seed, so he's going to be expanding as well. The SCV gets in there and sees a great scout by TaeJa here, and a second observer is being made now for Seed. He did cancel that Immortal and switch over, which is a good choice. Bunker canceled. Looks like TaeJa may be thinking about expanding as well, but we'll see here. There's the command center for TaeJa. So yeah, we're going to see a little bit of a longer game here. I like the style that TaeJa's playing. I feel like it's really, really good on this map. It is a longer, narrower map. You can cover more space with your siege tanks, so I feel like he's going to be able to certainly keep his natural expansion safe and, definitely take a little bit easier to hold third, too, if he decides to go that far.
So you're making sure that he's going to be very, very prepared for these Banshees as well. That's his third observer popping its way out, so he's going to have a pretty good read on what his opponent is doing.
Startail parting took over Seed's body or something like that. He's going to just keep making observers all game long. Ooh, except for the robotics bay going down now. And a third command center for TaeJa. Very, very cool. So, yeah, these guys are definitely playing for a little bit of a longer game. Now, here's the thing with what Seed is doing. Oh, he does chase that Banshee out with the observer. I don't think TaeJa's going to be able to get a whole lot of damage done with that.
No.
It is a very fragile unit if your opponent does have something to detect the cloak.
But he does have a Raven coming up after this as well, so that's going to provide a lot of utility eventually against Stalkers, against a lot of things for him. So I like the inclusion of them before he decides to swap that back onto a reactor and move into medevac production.
Sneaking in there.
Ooh.
Trying to get that natural expansion, trying to kill off a couple probes. He gets one so far and then goes to the main. But there are some Stalkers there. Oh, did he see the robotics bait? Did he see it?
Let me go ahead and check here. He did not.
Oh, wow. That was so close. That is actually huge that he missed that, because Seed could come with a very strong Colossus timing because of that. And there's the first Colossus on the way. If Seed is able to hide those Colossi until the very last moment, TaeJa could really be put in a very difficult situation. Yeah, there's 3 more gateways. Seed wants to end this thing a little bit earlier. Thermal Lance just starting now.
Yeah, very powerful attack coming out of him. It's something we saw work in IPL 4 quite a few times.
Oh, yeah,
no Forges
absolutely.
on the way yet, so it looks like he is going to decide to hit that stronger 2 Colossus. There's a very strong timing that it gets hit whenever you have 2 Colossus out, and the third one's kind of being sent up as the army is moving out to attack, and you're producing off of all 6 of those gates. So we'll see if TaeJa's going to be prepared for that. He does have a few bio units running out on the map. Stim has just been started, though. It's going to be a while before that gets done.
Yeah, I'm really kind of taking note of what TaeJa is doing to try to read his opponent here. He hasn't really scanned the main base or anything like that I'm aware of. Yeah, he still hasn't gotten in there and seen anything really, even with those Banshees. And I mean, that's one of the reasons that you do Banshee openings, is to get in there and see what your opponent is doing. The scouting that the Banshees give you is almost as valuable as the kills sometimes in that case. So the fact that he wasn't able to get that scouting done with the Banshees is a huge detriment for him. He's going for double upgrades here, but all of this is adding up to TaeJa just not having a very strong army. So he's going to have to make sure that he has enough bunkers, has his SCVs repairing those, but it is going to be so difficult for TaeJa to stop this.
Third barracks being added on now, and it looks like he has finally stopped the tank production, at least for a while. He has those 2 up for defense now, but as we can see, Seed already making his way out on the map. Second Colossus is done, range finished up, and he's starting to warp into the front already, so this attack is going to come in a hurry. First bunker does finish up for TaeJa, but he is certainly going to need a little bit more.
It's going to be so tense. He's going to need to use that Raven for point defense drone a little bit, but he has to use it at exactly the perfect time here. The Colossus with thermal range can outrange the bunkers too. They can fire on those without being hit themselves as well. There's the second Colossus joining now, and TaeJa may be in a bit of trouble here. He knows now. He sees it. Pulling some... Oh, he's not pulling any SCVs yet. Will he be able to defend? He does have the siege tanks. SCVs coming off the line now, but the bunker's getting very low.
Oh, but he's repairing it up. So he keeps it there for a while, but now the force fields are starting to jump in. But the bunker has held for a while, and a second one jumps up as well. Both the siege tanks are down, but TaeJa's holding back for now.
He holds for now. He did lose both of his siege tanks, though, so it is not over yet. And look at that Seed just coming through the back door, going through those destructible rocks. TaeJa scrambling to get his siege tanks into position here. He does have 2 Vikings, but will it be enough? Getting a nice hit on those Colossi there. Needs to be so careful, needs to save every unit he can.
All right, so Seed's now making his way around the side. He's rallying a few units up to the front. Both these Colossi are pretty low, though. If Seed holds back for a while, of course, it's going to give more time for TaeJa to get units in position, but he will be able to recover the shields he needs. So looks like he's going to make his way up the front one more time. Another tank setting up as well, so TaeJa's defenses are growing for the moment.
Yeah, he's thinking about going for it. He's thinking. He still is not committed quite yet. He's putting up a Twilight Council and a Forge at home, so he could just kind of stop the aggression right here and take a third, but moving those Stalkers up, he does manage to grab one of those units. But yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to try to push this any farther, just playing it safe here, and that was a good decision. TaeJa holds.
So TaeJa holds for now, and as you mentioned before, there are Forges, there is Twilight Council coming up now for Siege, so we can start moving into upgrades. +1 weapons is already finished up for TaeJa despite his supply deficit at the moment, and don't forget, he has that 3rd orbital command that he's been sitting on for a while, so he's going to be well saturated in a head-on economy.
Yeah, you know, I feel like Seed could have maybe pushed that a little bit. You could really tell he was thinking about it. He was right on the ramp. He's like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like he may have gone for it if you saw the siege tank count for TaeJa was a little bit lower than maybe he thought it was, but nothing wrong at all with playing a little bit safe. He's going to take his 3rd base. He's just going to kind of change into a macro style, start getting upgrades to try to keep up with that, and storm very, very quickly as well. So the question is, you know, will TaeJa now have the presence of mind to get that Ghost Academy early on, to have the EMPs ready for that, have the snipes ready for that? Right now, he's still making Vikings. He's got almost enough where he can stop, I think, but will he know to stop?
Let's see here. How many does he actually have up already? It's just 6, so the 6 that we saw before,
yeah.
with the 7th coming up now. 4 more barracks on the way, along with an armor. He does already have 1-1 upgrades finished, of course, so he'll be able to move into 2-2 very quickly, and that will give him a slight upgrade advantage over his opponent. But, of course, with those storms hitting, with third base coming up, Seed certainly going to be no slouch as well. But it's good to see the game stabilize a little bit, as that was a very difficult situation for TaeJa there for a while.
What a tense moment for TaeJa and for Team Liquid and their fans as well. I mean, to have your ace taken out that quickly is never something that you want. You need to be so careful with it. TaeJa stimming up here, thinking maybe he has an opportunity, turns around when he sees the army. He only stimmed a couple units just to kind of scout it out a little bit. Yeah, decide to turn around, scanning just to make sure, just to confirm. And Psionic Storm does just finish now for Incredible Miracle Seed. And he's already had Templar out for a while. Yeah, he's got 4 on the field. They're going to have plenty of energy to storm when the fight actually happens here. But both of these players need to be so careful. They can't really engage right now. And there's a Team Liquid bench looking very, very concerned for their teammate. As well they should. It's a very tense situation here. +1 armor coming up for Seed now. And I got to say, the upgrades are really in TaeJa's favor. So that does give him a little bit of an advantage for now anyway.
And he's still got a pretty defensive position behind those tanks as well. Seed kind of positioning forward a little bit here. Does he want to go for this? No, takes a couple of shots from the tanks. And the Vikings get forward, almost picking off one of the Colossi. It is still very, very low, and Seed has to back up.
Well, TaeJa's one of the best players in the world at positioning his army exactly where it needs to be. And you saw it right there. He had his Vikings over that high ground. They got a great shot, almost killed that Colossus. Either way, they took it to very low health. It's not going to be as much of a concern later on when the fight happens. And it's things like that that are really going to help TaeJa out. You can tell, too, that he kind of wants to take a 4th base. He's sort of thinking about it. He's got the rocks broken down already just in case here. And he's going to scout, confirm that that 3rd base is there.
Yeah, so the 4th base is on the way, as you kind of mentioned before, so actually just was started now.
Yeah.
So TaeJa's going to have still a very well-developed economy and a slight lead over Seed in that regard. Both players are about even in supply now, but upgrades, as you mentioned before, well in TaeJa's favor. He's got 2-2 just about to finish up, and only +1 armor now going to finish for Seed.
Yeah, well, this is going to really turn into a very typical TVP at this point. You have large groups of Marines and Marauders, large infantry force, rather, for the Terran player. It's going to really count where he lands his EMPs, where he lands his snipes. Meanwhile, the Protoss player is trying to catch his opponent off guard, trying to switch tech and make sure that when he attacks, he's got too much of one thing that his opponent wasn't expecting, whether it's Templar and Archons or Colossi on the other side here. So both players trying to just play for that strong late game that their races do let them play. But you know, for TaeJa, it all comes down in a large part to those EMPs. But look at this. Oh, I love tank drops. This is such a great idea by TaeJa. They do a lot of damage.
Yeah, they really do. They can tear through structures very, very quickly. And it looks like he's actually going to free up the supply. So poor tanks, do what you can.
Yep. Good luck, tanks. You're on your own now.
Bye-bye.
Well, they killed the pylon.
Yeah, kill the pylon.
We'll always remember those tanks for their bravery. And that medevac pilot for just kind of leaving them there.
Freeing up, freeing up tanks, though, for 3 Ghosts. So Ghosts making their way out, and TaeJa looks like he wants to engage this. Picks off one of the Colossi and is able to push forward just a little bit. Seed kind of reeling from that. We have a few Ghosts around the side. Snipes hitting a couple of the casters around the back. Storms, in large part, missing, actually hitting a few more Zealots than anything else.
TaeJa's got to be so close. Remember that positioning that I was talking about? That wasn't a good one for him. His army was all clumped out, could have been hit by Storms pretty hard, had to pull back, trying to get in a better spot, has a decent concave here, but does he have enough to handle it? He needs some micro back, needs to pull those Zealots away from the rest of the army. The Storm doesn't hit very well. Another Colossus goes down. Another Colossus goes down. TaeJa, does he have enough to hold?
He's running back. He's only got a few units on the ground right now, though. EMPs were actually pretty useful there, and the point defense drone is going to absorb a few of those Stalker hits, and he's running to the back right now. He is able to pick off a couple more Zealots, though, running his way back up to the front, reinforcing with a pretty short distance, coming around the side with more Ghosts in addition.
Yeah, at the 3rd base right now, Seed is still pushing. He's got a decent arc. He's got 3 Immortals. He's got decent force field, zoning out some of TaeJa's army as well. And TaeJa appears to hold the supply right now. It's dead even, but 2-2 is about to finish for Seed.
But Seed just has so many units. Every time he just seems to make his way up with more and more and more. The Immortals have had all of their shields gone through, but they're still sitting in the back just racking up kills at the moment. Seed, though, losing his last couple of Stalkers. Is it going to be enough for TaeJa?
That's right. TaeJa running out of units very rapidly, but the supply is still very even. The Immortals have to make a run for it right now. TaeJa chasing Seed away from his base. Seed retreats to the 4th base area of TaeJa. For now, it looks like TaeJa is stabilizing, but Seed has been able to take his 4th base on the left side of the map.
TaeJa's got his now too, though, and he does have a 5th command center, which he's floating off to the right-hand side. We'll see if these become planetary fortresses here momentarily, but with that many mules on top of it, he is going to receive a huge economic boost very, very soon. That was still a very tense situation, though. Seed did do a lot of damage.
Yep, that's right. So on right now, we have a situation where both players are on 4th base, or 4 bases. TaeJa about to take his 5th in his normal 4th base location. He does find a pylon on the left side of the map that Seed was going to use for Zealot Warp, and so really good for him to get that cleaned out of the way. TaeJa does load up a drop that he will send towards the 4th base, but Seed's entire army is at the 4th base right now. 4 Archons of Colossi, 4 Immortals, some Zealots, and a couple Templars as well. Yeah, TaeJa tries to drop, but then has to pull back right away.
All right, well, pylon off to the right now. It does get a pretty good read on this base coming up for TaeJa.
Seed desperately trying to pump out more Colossi. It's so tense right now, but I feel like TaeJa has a little bit of advantage. Maybe we'll even get the screen back to see it in a moment. Hopefully we will. But anyway, the upgrades. Let's talk about the upgrades for a second. TaeJa, +3 flyer tags. Oh, he's running into the 4th base again. The Nexus is going to fall. There's nothing Seed can do.
And TaeJa's going to be able to get out of it.
Hey,
not taking too much damage.
All right.
As well. Yeah, there we have
it. Hope you enjoyed Radio StarCraft there for a little bit. But TaeJa, as you can see, is right now in firm control of this game. The question is, will Seed be able to pull any sort of desperation moves to come back? TaeJa actually going for nukes right now.
And looks like Seed's going to make his way into the planetary fortress. Decides he can't attack into it. It would delay too long. TaeJa going to try and capture these forces, though. Storm does get a couple of units there, but looks like TaeJa just has too much up in the front. EMP's hitting a couple of those Archons. They are getting very, very low in shields.
Yeah, he manages to take them out. He's still
GG! And Liquid